Good morning, pre-algebra. Here is our joke for today. What do you get when you cross a bee and a sheep? Any guesses? A bah humbug. That's right, a bee and a sheep, or a sheep and a bee for that order. Okay, first thing I guess I want to say is you guys did mostly a wonderful, fantastic job on that test from last week. So, um, as it turns out for you guys, this is just going to be kind of a quick review for this first couple sections. Hopefully this is a review. And what we're going to be talking about is turning fractions into percentages and then percents back into fractions. So let's just jump right into it. I'm on page 335 of your textbook. It will be helpful for you to be there. And then you may start on your assignment. So here is our first question. It says, write each percent as a fraction in simplest form. So we start out with 60%, okay? Now, sometimes, I guess in real life, the easiest thing is just to use your calculator, but we're going to go through the process of solving it without a calculator because you will be tested on that. But of course, we will go through on how to do it with a calculator. So we need to turn 60% into a fraction. So the first thing is that 60% is out of what total? Well, you got to go 100%, right? You could have more percent, but really when you're talking about percentages, it goes up to 100%. So we can actually just first start out by writing 60 over 100. And then we can just simplify it on down from there. So when we simplify our fraction, we get all the way down to 3 over 5. And that's it. We have turned our percentage into a fraction. All the way down, simplified, just the way they like it. Okay, let's look at 1a. Now let's do 40%. Alright, so remember, first step is do 40 over 100. And we simplify that down, common factor. If I did 5 out of 40, that would be 8. And then 5 out of 100 is 20. So I keep going down. I can divide both by 4. So that's 2/5. And that is our answer. So, again, pretty easy stuff. Again, this should be a review. Now let's go on to the next page. Let's talk about what if our percent is less than 1% or greater than 100%. So here's where they're getting at. They're going to give us our percentage is 0.8%. Okay, so as always, we can represent that as 0.8 out of 100, but this still, we can't really use it. It's not a whole number. So what they tell us to do is multiply each by 10. Or multiply it by 10 over 10, which is 1, which as long as we change the top and the bottom, we're okay. So this gets us 8 over 1,000. And when we simplify that down, we get 1 over 125. So this is the significant step of when we're dealing with a fraction, or excuse me, a percentage less than 1. The key step is to multiply both the top and the bottom by 10, or most likely just by 10. You'd have to multiply it by 100, depending on which place it is. Because see, this is in the tenths place, but see, if we were going to have 0.08, this is in the hundredths place. So then you would be in the situation of multiplying it by 100, because it is in the hundredths place. Okay, so now let's look at what if we had 175%. What is that as a fraction? Well, as always, we're still talking about out of 100. Now we can simplify it down. Both are divisible by 25, so that would be 7 over 4. And that's our fraction. Now this is, remember, this is an improper fraction, and we want to, if they told us to turn it into a mixed fraction, figure out how many times does 4 go into 7. That would be 1, and we have a remainder of 3. So that's the same number. Okay, again, just the process of putting your percent over 100. All right, now let's look at the opposite. What if they give us a fraction and we want to write it as a percent? So we have 1/4. Now the first thing is really, you just memorize it. You know, think of a quarter. Well, a quarter is 25 cents, so we know that's 25%. But really the process is trying to get the denominator to equal 100. So what times 4 is 100? So we would say, oh, multiply both by 25. So then we get 25 over 100. And since we know it's over 100, we can just convert it to 25%. So that's your first step, is to really try to make the denominator equal to 100. Okay, let's try another example. Below that, let's do 3 out of 10. Okay, what times 10 will equal 100? We're going to multiply both the top and the bottom by 10. So we get 30 over 100, and that way we know it is 30%. Okay, pretty simple, right? Moving on. Let me know, again, I don't want to, if you need help, let me know if this is too fast. Let's do, ooh, this is good. 7 over 2, we have an improper fraction. So I know if I multiply by 50, then I'm going to get 100 on the bottom, and then 7 times 50 is going to equal 350. 35, 7 times 5, and that's going to equal 350%. Okay? So again, the real easy step is to, remember, get your denominator to equal 100, and that's how you find your percentage. Okay, let's look at the last page. I am now on page 337, and this is going to be a story problem. Okay, so it says, if the denominator is not a factor of 100, you can write fractions as percents by using a proportion. So here's going to be our example. It says, on our science quiz, Jacinda got 14 questions correct out of 16. Find Jacinda's grade as a percent. So we have 14 out of 16 correct, and they want us to get a percentage. So we're going to use a proportion, and this is, again, kind of going to call us back to what we have been learning about last week, is that we have 14 out of 16, and we want 100 on the bottom, and we're going to try to figure out what that is at the top. So we can just use our equation of 16x equals 1400. And then we divide by 16, and that's going to get us x equals 87.5. So this is the answer that would go up top, over here. So now that we have our answer, we just turn that into a percentage, and that would be 87.5%. So this is a situation where it would be okay to use your calculator. And remember, setting it up using your proportions and your ratios to help you solve the answer. So remember, I knew that x is up top because we're making it similar. 14 is to 16 as x is to 100. So Again, if you need any extra help, let me know. We've hit the 10-minute mark. Otherwise, I will see you in real life.